na še enem Stripolisu. Naš gost bo danes Boulet. Pravzaprav ne vem, kako mu je ime, to ga vprašamo. Boulet, ne vem, to njegov priimek ali je njegov zdel. Ampak skratka, Boulet je po mojem eden najbolj aktivnih francoskih stripovskih blogerjev. In meni se zdi neverjetno, meni so strašno všeč njegove vidbe. Poln je neke blazno domišljijo, v osnovi za tiste, ko ga ne poznate, predstavljam, da ga veliko ljudi pozna, pa tudi na Facebooku, kamor sem dal linke na njegove najbolj znane stripe, ste si ga verjetno lahko ogledali, ampak bomo vsem zdaj naredil, preden ga pokličamo in takrat tako vodamo, da so si vedeli, o čem govorimo. Skratka, ima neko tako v osnovi dela avtobiografske stripe. To je njegov ta osnovni page, ko ga zdaj tukaj vidite. Jaz ponovno pripravljam eno tako PowerPoint prezentacijo, ampak tako pri Bouletu, kako boste videli, je bilo to čisto nesmiselno, zaradi tega, ker res dela stripe, ki so narejeni praktično za net. In ko blazno dobro izkoriščajo lastnosti internetnega stripa, tudi za iste lastnosti, ki jih je recimo strašno rad navajal Scott McCloud za svoje Stripolisu Inventing Comics in v nadaljevanju tega stripa na svojem blogu. Skratka, res izkorišča to, da se te stripe dogajajo na netu in je ful dober. In zato vam bom danes te stripe kar pokazal live v njihovem okolju. To je njegova zadnja entry, to je trenutna naslovna stran njegovega bloga, kjer je narisal tako alternativno naslovnica New Yorkerja, da mora Porker za te čarovniške akademije iz knjig od Terija Pratchetta, ker je ravno točno moral Pratchett. In tako ful lepo, ne, dejansko ima in to linijo s temi črtkanimi črtkicami ima ful lepo in dobro uporablja te računalniške barve. Že samo v tej ilustraciji vidiš, da je ti res mojster. Strip pa objavlja tako v francoščini kot v angleščini. Jaz sem nadal to osnovno stran v francoščini, zato ker je ful lepša od angleške. Ker te zdaj preklopil na angleško, ki je čisto družna, ne, sam je tako, ona je ful simpatična. To pa ne vem, če to možno v japonščini že, kaj? Pa možno še japonsko to nalačiti. No in on v osnovi, recimo to njegov osnovni strip je tak, to je pač njegov autoportret in pač piše v svojih osebnih prigodah, ko so zelo dostkrat vezane na stvari, ko se mu dogajajo med risanjem obiskih festivalov in tako naprej. In tu recimo ena znana epizoda, kjer se blazno matra, on riše z rotringom, tukaj se nas je zelo veliko lahko risarjev zelo identificirali, ko tukaj dobi eno idejo in poskuša z rotringom to na vsak način narisati, in se mu rotring 100-krat zamrši in pogled tukaj puca in je pa so črnila, na koncu ga rada se staviti in ga spet šenka in pogle je popolnoma prikrit spet s črnilom. In potem čez 2 dni, potem ko si kup za blazen en cash novega, potem čez 2 dni ugotovi, da bom ta star super dela in čist znori. Ampak tako, ful ima res tako blazno lepo sproščeno linijo in ko boste videli kasneje, je neverjetno, da on to, vse to, kar tukaj izgleda tako noro sproščeno narejen, on to vse dela tako dejansko prosto, brez skice in ne moreš verjeti, da ima tip to res vse naprej v glavi. Pa zanimivo je, kot tudi recimo kombinira tisto, kar ste prej videli, recimo neki tak default strip, pa recimo dela tudi, ne vem, take stripke, kot je ta, kjer pa blazno lepo z vodenkami kolorira zadeva. In tako ful lepo izpade skupaj s to njegovo osnovno ritmo. To je recimo en strip, v katerem razmišlja o tem, kako so duhovi v popularni kulturi butasti, ko so ful grdi, pa krvavi, pa skozi ljudem nekaj težijo. Nekaj, če bi on duh, bi valjda to izkoristil, zato da bi potoval v, ne vem, prazgodovinske dežele, pod morje, izven vesolja, tako, izven zemlje, po vesolju, obiskoval druge planete, gledal punce pod tušem in tako naprej. In da ne bi bil tak negravžen zombi, ampak bi tak prijazen duhac, ko bi jih malo pozdravil, ker rekel, res, zakaj to treba delati. In same take meditacije, takih vsakdanjih zadevah, o katerih razmišlja. Ampak hkrati ima pa pol tudi ene take prav fantazijske fine scenarije, recimo ta je, tako te je naslov, recimo samo februar in samo spremljamo njega, kako neki hitni pilot vesoljski ladji, kle pilotira po vesolju, prstane, pogled, kako je to recimo lepo klevsenčen, in potem kar prstane na tem nekem planetu in gre v tem planetu neko štacuno, si izbira neke čudne marsovske sneke in čipse in pol na konc, no to je recimo tak panel, ko ga lahko narediš praktično samo na internetu, toliko ogromen panel, kaj je ta, noro, kjer odbrzi pol s to svojo vesoljsko ladjo na zemljo. In čisto ena taka hitna, mehna fantazijska meditacija, ko v bistvu govori o njegovem life, ampak v nekem čist fantazijskem svetu. Zelo velike teh preklopov v fantazijski svet. Pa ena zanimiva, ko pa zgleda, kako je fantazijska dejansko realna, potem ga lahko pa še kaj vprašamo, ko ga pokličemo, je pa, da so ga dejansko povabili, to mislim, da je zdaj bilo pred kratkim, pa še let nazaj, v to, ko imajo ene take izkušnje breztežnostnega prostora, ki te pelejo z avionom ful visok, in potem v avion strmoglavlja 22 sekund, in si 22 sekund v breztežnostnem prostoru. In v glavnem na to polvabijo neke fizike, pa take, da to preizkušajo, in potem so pa povabili njega, tako, ta francoska neka vesoljska agencija je njega povabila, in je pol tam risal v tem breztežnostnem prostoru in celo to izkušnjo zabeležil in imel neke, pač delil cele neke te svoje zamisli, kako to zgleda, kakšni bojo te ljudje od te francoske nase in tako ful zanimiv strip od ta naredil z tega. In vmes imaš take zapiske njegove cirke in ful lepo. Je pa ful dobro, ker vsako leto Boulet naredi tudi, vsako leto se udeleži tega največjega evropskega stripovskega festivala v Angulemu in vsako leto tam v okviru nekega izziva nariše 24-urni strip. In teh 24-urnih stripov njegovih, mislim, da je že 8 gor, ker ta blok v bistvu že 10 let dela. In zadnja, ko je objavil, je bila ta Ženevijada, ko ne moreš verjeti, bom zdaj na hitro preskrolil, to je on narisal v 24 urah, res vidite, koliko ta tip neverjetno hitro riše, očitno delam pač na nek rjav papir, pa potem zdelal vse na roke, ne vem. In pač ful lušna, tudi če se boste spravili gor brati, totalno lušna zgodbica, ko ful funkcionira pač v nekem dvoboju nekih bogov, ki potem Zeusa in Kronosa, ko potem ena gospa rež Zeusa pred smrtjo in potem je neka cel konflikt v nebesih in to. Ampak blazno dobro narejen. In on to pač zriše tlego, to je pa njegov najbolj znan strip, mislim, najbolj internetno znan strip, ki je bil totalno viralen. Za nekoga ne poznate, ga bom sam tukaj na hitro preklikal, kjer se pač on spominja tega, kako je s svojimi starši za Toyoto se ob večerih, kdaj, da so bili družinskem izletu in so se pred večeru vozili domov in se spominja tega, kako je počas ugašala na zadnja luč dneva in kako so potem tiste nočne oranžne luči se premikale čez avto in je res noro, ko je pač v bistvu statičen strip, ko je s pomočjo zelo simpel animiranih gifov dobi točno to, kar rab za posredovanje te izkušnje, te vožnje domov. In res to, kar se spomniš, ko si bil majhen, ko si se vozil v avto na zadnjih sedežih in ko so te lučke utripale v tunelih. Tako blazno lepo. Če zelo pač ta tik-tak od tega signala od žvigalca vklop noter in vse. Tako ful lepo. In ta strip je blazno zaokrožil nekako po internetu in vem, da je še ful bolj znanga, ampak dejansko se pa on ves čas pač zafrkava s temi svojimi formati tega svojega stripa. Klej mi recimo strip o 7 smrtnih grehih, kjer je naredil take mini animacije za vse zgleda. Ko se ga ful duše in se vklopi vsakič, ko prideš na eno. Ful se vere. Šta je kurušno? Super. Ful malo lepo, ful malo takih kecov. Ja, pa tam je tudi nora klešil pa prav na to, na ta neskončno globok panel, ko ga dela v kateri govori Scott McCloud in je tako naredil po mojem malo spikslano, zaradi tega, da je bilo lažje pač dati noter celo panel in tako pač govori o tem, kako moj dolg čas in potem se splazil v nek kanal, da bi tam nekaj našel. In se počas spušča pač potem in spet nekam pada in tako med tem razmišlja razne stvari. Kaj potika po neki kanalizaciji. Je ta vodnjak in po njem razne dobro pleza. Aha, pa tukaj najde te neke gobice in si z njimi sveti naokrog. Aha, in tukaj se spominja pač tega, kako je bral dogodivščine v 5 prijateljev, ko je bil mejhan in kako so oni tudi vedno odkrivali neke take podzemne zadeve. Pa se kaj začasno znajde v nekem čist fantazijskem svetu. Ogromnih rož, kjer ga nalepam. Začnejo predanjati naciji. Stoppen, schnell, alarm! Scheiße, Französisch, stoppen! Stop yelling scary stuff. You are propagating a stereotype. Dinosaur, ach nein, er hat die Karren sterben, kommunistisch, ach nein. Bo še naprej, še nekam pade. Aha, in skozi pač komentira to, da ne ve, kako spravijo grafite na tako neverjetna mesta. In potem vsake tog časa se spet pojavijo te grafiti, ko so se že prej sred tistih kanalizacij. Aha, in tukaj je super, ko je tako že čisto temno. Tako, ko je vidno neke te meduze. Čisto to, super. In potopljena mesta. In tako, pa gremo čisto tam. Vmes ta riba, kako ljubiš. Ja, pa mislim, da je, pa to, ko začne padati proti centru sveta. Pa se tukaj ful, pa ima tukaj neke cele teološke debate s tem hodičem, pač o tem, kaj je pekel, pa tako pa. Ok, what would Indiana Jones do? In bolj tukaj začne nekaj meditirati, kam bo na koncu sploh padel. In skratka na koncu pride neka taka profina metafora za njegov lasten strip. Ko govori pač o tem, kako na drugo stran, aha, in še na tej strani pod morjem, ok. Aha, in ven in začne padati v vesolje. Čez svet v bistvu. Pravi, it's actually what I'm used to doing on my website. Do anything, whatever. And a lot of stuff happened. It was sometimes beautiful, sometimes scary, sometimes ridiculous, and sometimes with some random thoughts. I've been doing that for 9 years now, just doing whatever crossed my mind. I think I can go on a little bit further. Major Tom to ground control. In leti naprej pač v vesolje, ne? Tako čez celo zemljo. In je taka ful lepa. Pa totalno noro izkoriščen ledi tega. Pa se je igral tudi s takimi, da imaš pač take, ne vem, neke videoigrce, kjer ga potem poskušaš zbuditi, pa mu dodaješ energetske levele in tako naprej. To je nekaj nabijalo. Pa level tu je vedno navrljeno. Ok, pa že spi. Aha, vem, do tega sem nekaj prav. Da si mu lahko ščimo to, koliko mu je. Ja. Da si badiš ima. Pa recimo letos za Božič je imel teh 12 adventnih dni, kjer je risal vse, kar so mu ljudje pač na Twitterju predlagali. Nekaj časa so bile to neke take lepe slike z mladenkami dinozauri. In bolj take nore slike teh dinozaurov v uniformah. Ko ne moreš verjeti, on rad daje te video gor, ki vidiš pač kako noro hitro on to riše. Mislim, sej pač na speedi je narejen, ampak brez, se pa na koncu pove, koliko je realen time tega. Ampak ne moreš verjeti, to res koliko, brez skice nastaja ta cela zadeva, ne? molinijska risba in pa to naprej. Za folk, ko riše, je to prav fascinantno, da to vidiš, kako je to. In pa na koncu pač pove, recimo, to je bilo zdaj 2 urci, recimo, ne. In tako pohon ima pač tih videov, ki to razlagajo. Pomagajo ti krasne šofirne dinozaure v nekih plastnih formah in tako. Taki se srednjeveške, tako vse možno. Grške, tako vse, ki se krčeš. Portugalske ploščice. Japonce. To je skul enih stilov znajo ponašati. In pospet razne te magije in tam razne šarko. In pač karkoli sem mu rekel. Karkoli sem mu pač rekel bralci, da ne nariše. Je pa zanimivo, da so pač zadnja leta, zdaj mislim, da to on dela že 10 let to riše, in zdaj pred kratkim ste ga Trondheim pa Svar, če jo poznate, ko sta več ustanovitelja tega založniške hiše L'Association, ko je bila nekaj čas taka glavna alternativna založniška hiša v Franciji, zdaj je že dosti bolj komercialna, ampak recimo Svar je delal se zdaj, kot je pa Sken, ki je pri nas preveden, pa Rabinova mačka, kot je popularna. Sta pa pač delala tudi en zelo komercialni projekt, ko sem rekla Donžon, in ko je bil parodija na te Dungeons and Dragons igrice in te fantasy scenarije, ko je strašno popularna in sta Bouleta prosila tudi, da zdaj on začel risati za Donžon. Hkrati je pa Delcourt, ko je največja, zdaj trenutno francoska založba, začela izdajati ta njegov blog v knjigah. In je izdala že 10 knjig tega bloga. Zdaj predstavljam si, da pač ne tistih stripov, ko so res ekskluzivno za internet narejeni, ampak ful so pač že tega izdali in to se mi zdi tako blazen kompliment, da ena taka velika hiša začne to delati. To res odlično. No, zdaj, ko vemo, kdo je Boulet, ga dajmo pa poklicati, pa ga malo vprašati, potem, kako on tukaj dela.
Hi. Hi, sir. Okay, I can see you. Do you have your camera on?
No, so wait. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's a big screen.
Yeah. You can constantly see your giant face in the background. I just want to show you. We were talking about this like with the other guys that we had on. That it's really bizarre because they just see your face in the background, and we always wanted to show them the audience, but last time we didn't. They couldn't hear my questions, so I'm just going to rotate it so you can actually see them.
Hey. Nice to meet you guys.
And now I have to turn it around because otherwise you won't hear me, but we'll say hi again later on. Cool. Okay, great. It's really nice of you to join us. We took a look at your webcomic right now. We surfed through like some of the stuff that I thought was really, really cool. And we really like it. It's great. And what, you've been doing this for 10 years now, right?
Yeah, that seems right. More like 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah. You're talking about the website.
The website, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, my website started in 2004.
Mm-hmm. And did it? I had a feeling like at least from now, when it's really popular, right? Now you have, I think, like about 10,000 views per day or something like that.
How much did you say?
That right now you have lots and lots of views. I understood you have like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. But this has only started now, recently, or?
It's been stable on the French version of the website. It took like 5 or 6 years to certain.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, I think the connection got a bit bad, so we couldn't hear you there.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, it's better now. Okay.
But you seem to lag. It was perfect on my side.
Okay.
Also, I can make jokes. Just stop suddenly.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So it took like 5 years to reach a certain level, and now I don't know. The French version is between something like 30,000 people every day and 60,000 every day, and in the English version it's really less. But in the French version, it's been here for a long time. So I have people coming every day, even if I'm not months. It's
Fantastic, really, really good. And
I think they're just reading the old comics. It's great. I like it like that. People coming without me working.
And it's also interesting because you don't update that frequently, right?
When I started, I was updating almost every day. It was every other day I was updating, but it was really different at the time. It was half comics, half autobiography. At the time, we didn't use Facebook or Twitter that much in France. So when I made the blog, it was mostly to use it like social network, And after a while, I put all my private life, social network stuff in Facebook and stuff like that, and the mix on the website. So I updated less often, but I try to make better comics.
Yeah, I saw like now in the last year you've been doing like really risky stuff, like really experimenting with formats, doing like this really long, really vertical panels, or the Toyota comic, which was really popular with the animated GIFs. This was all in the last couple of years, but I saw.
Yeah.
But there was less updates, right? You only updated about once a month.
Oh yeah. Really less updates. It was. I wouldn't say it because I have less time. It's always a thing I say, in France, but I lie a lot in the interviews. I have the time. It's just because I have lots of work on the side, and I have to admit I lost a little of the enthusiasm of the beginning. So now I'm trying to work on different stuff. I really try really often to go to something else, If the website becomes the usual everyday's work, it's really boring for me.
Yeah, I saw that like in some comics, I know you had a couple of them when you were comparing like your work on the websites to like a barbarian fighting the dragon and so on. And then when they rent you to do commercial stuff, it's more boring. And I understood from that you really understand this blog as your love child, as your the place where you go to play.
Yeah, exactly. But since I published it, it's, in France it's books. I took my website and I make books with them. So my comics website. My website comics, sorry. And so now it's books, so my publisher is waiting for me. So when are you doing the next one? And so the website itself became part of the work, so I try to go to something else again. So I'm moving from project to project and trying new stuff. And it's really fun too, but I can't update that much anymore.
Yeah. You're trying to get that place where you can play with the dragons again. Yeah. Cool. When did they start publishing this? Like it's called Notes, right?
Yeah. They started in 2007, I guess. For a long time, I wasn't okay with publishing them. I clearly said to a lot of publishers, well, 3 of them, that I didn't want to publish it because it was something personal, because it was my playground, like you were saying, and I didn't want to have the pressure of publishing a book with it. And one of my publisher is Lewis Trondheim. I don't know if you heard about him.
No.
He is a really famous cartoonist in France. He is one of the founders of a really famous indie publishing house called l'Association. And now he's working with my publisher, Delcourt. And he asked me to make books out of it, and I said no, and he kind of forced me. You know, every time he was asking, why don't you want to do that? Why don't you want? I was like, because I want to do everything I want in the book. I want a small book with everything. And he was like, okay, you got it. Why you don't want to do it? And I said, because I don't want to. And he sent me a contract anyway. So I signed it because I thought it was rude to refuse at this point. And I'm really happy about it because I lived from that since the last 5 or 7 years.
Great. So they're popular, like the books sell well.
Yeah, they sell okay. They sell really well if you consider all the comics world actual now in France, because it's kind of a difficult time for comics artists in France right now. But so for me, I'm really lucky because it sells really well. But it sells really well for what it is, you know, because there are like regular comics stars that sell like 100 times what I'm selling, you know.
Yeah, of course, but those are like really commercial stuff. Yeah. No, this is great. And like besides that, what kind of projects are you doing? I know like one of the more commercial projects that you're doing is probably this Donjon, which you're also doing with Trondheim, huh?
Oh, Donjon is over. It's finished.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they took a break for a few years, and last year they published the last 2 albums. They said that maybe they will come back to that later, but for now it's a closed lane.
Okay. Because I understood it's going to be like hundreds of these books, like the whole project.
No, it's I think it's something around 40. I don't remember. But Lewis Trondheim is one of the authors of Donjon.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's hard. Great.
And I'm working on a lot of different stuff. Recently, I illustrated a book for the US with my friend Zach Weinersmith. He has this webcomic called Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereals. And he wanted to do a book for kids, and he financed it with a Kickstarter. And he hired me to do the drawings, and we just finished that. So the book is about to come out. And I saw the message, so I was waiting to see if I was going to freeze on screen again.
No, it looks okay still.
Okay. Someone else is calling. I can call back later, you know.
I just put you on hold like for 5 minutes.
No, but so yeah, I illustrated the book, and it's about to come out, and I will be signing it in Toronto Festival in May. So I think it's really coming soon.
Okay, great.
And apart of that, I'm writing stuff. So I wrote a sci-fi project for a friend, and I'm waiting for him to start working on it. And we are working on another sci-fi project with the same Lewis Trondheim who was writing Zadnja. He wants to do a short series of 8 books of sci-fi like that with different authors. So I was working on that when you called. You know, I'm working on the sketch of the next comic book. I don't know. This is what I do for now. It's sketches, and then we will talk and correct things, and eventually it will become one part of the series.
Wow. So it's sort of like like a sci-fi, but a sort of a more comic sci-fi, let's say.
Yeah, sci-fi comic.
Yeah, but like a more comical, like a funny sci-fi.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Looks really nice. Yeah, I remember like some of your blog entries are also slightly sci-fi. I remember the one that was the Christmas thing, where these aliens are trying to figure out what Christmas was. Yeah.
Well, I really always loved sci-fi, and I wanted to go back to it for a really long time. And so this year was the real opportunity to go back to it. So this year, 2015, I mostly draw. I mostly prepare stuff for next year. And for a living, I do a lot of illustration. I'm currently working on several books for kids, just to have, to buy me the time to write my next comics. And these two projects, the one I'm writing for a friend and this one with Lewis, will come out in 2016.
Okay. But do you have any books translated into English right now? I couldn't find anything that was in English.
Almost nothing was translated in English for now. Augie and the Green Knight, the one I'm doing with Zach, will be a first. Meaning it's the first book that is coming out in English first, because all my other books are in French, essentially. But we also made a deal with foreign publishers, so it should be that next year, or this year or next year, I don't know when exactly because it's a huge work, but my books are going to be translated in English and in Italian, the notes.
The notes, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't have to do so much work because you already translated yourself, right? So.
Oh, maybe, but one of my friends is American, and she reads my blog, and I asked her to help me translate it, and she said, no, because it's cute, you talk like a lolcat.
Yeah.
So I don't think they are going to keep it like that. I think they are going to correct a few misspelled stuff.
Okay, but they're not going to translate it all together anew, right?
I don't know, because I mostly speak American English and the publisher is British. So maybe they are going, to erase all the fuck and put bloody hell instead. I don't know.
But do you write all of this by hand, the English and the French translations? Is this all done by hand, or wow? Okay.
Yeah, for the Italian translation, I asked them to use a font because I couldn't imagine myself doing that a third time. Because it's a huge work.
Yeah. But they're going to do like a nice font based on your handwriting, I imagine.
Yeah, actually, it's already been done. I was in contact with a Polish group who wanted one of my comics translated for a fanzine, and they made the font, and it's beautiful. I wanted it, but I asked them by mail, and they never answered. So I'm going to see them later, I think, in May. So maybe I'll ask them again.
Yeah, that would be great. Because it gives you like the freedom to do the English one. That's great. What else? You have I saw that lots of your fans are really fascinated by how fast you draw and how you draw lots of stuff without sketches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you are referring to the video, they are time lapse.
Yeah, I know you don't actually draw that fast, but it's still pretty fast. I mean, yeah.
Well, it's a long story. When I start drawing, I was really a kid and I loved drawing comics. But I asked, how do you become a comic artist? And people showed me documentaries and books about comic artists. And for me, as a kid, it was really frightening because it was a really adult world. They had these big tables and cases with a lot of different papers and pens and a lot of shit to draw, and I was a kid, and I was like, I will never be able to afford all that. Look at the room; it's huge. Where am I going to put all that in my bedroom? And so for me, it was an impossible dream to be a comic artist. And then a few years later, I tried anyway, and I realized there were new stuff in comics, indie stuff, and a lot of people were just, drawing free-handed, and they didn't care. They were like Johan Spa, one who is working on Dungeon. He doesn't give a shit, he just write a whole sketchbooks and publish it. He don't care if there are, mistakes or if the lines are not straight. And I was like, that's what I want to do, but I want to do it with clean drawing. So starting there, I always try to develop my style so it will be free-handed, but would look finished, would look precise. And the one I was admiring the most about that was Moebius, who was really one of my favorite authors.
Yeah.
And I worked on that a long time. And the blog was actually the thing that unlocked that, how do you say that,
the potential,
that superpower, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was drawing on the blog and I had to draw really fast, I was doing that on the side from my regular work. I had to eat, so I had to work a lot. And at night I would take 1 hour or maximum 2 to draw something for the blog or the website. So I had to draw really fast and I couldn't start sketching and stuff. So after 10 years doing that, it became just natural. And I was really about it because the more I was drawing like that, and the more people were asking me to draw like that. And actually, I had to work half less because I wouldn't sketch anymore. So my whole work life was cut in half. So you can't imagine how happy I was. I was doing the same number of pages, and I had plenty of time to sleep, drink, and play video games. It was like heaven, So I kept doing that.
This is great, yeah. But for me, it's amazing. I can't believe that steampunk video, that I love steampunk. It's amazing because you do this really complex stuff, with perspective and with and everything is completely in its place. It's really, really nice.
You should really train for that. It's an investment, You know that in 10 years you can, after that, be and spend hours watching TV shows and stuff. It's great.
Cool. What else? You mentioned Moebius. You like Moebius. Yeah, you can see that a little bit, I think, in your drawing. He also draws with a rapidograph or with a rotring sort of thing, I think.
He was doing a lot of improvisation too.
And with a lot of these thin lines that you have. Yeah. The lines that you so often mention in your blog all the time, it really cracks me up all the time. No, there has to be lines. The lines are very important.
Yeah, he was a great influence for that, and him and Robert Crumb too was doing all these little lines, and I was fascinated by the volumes in Robert Crumb drawings. And he was drawing always these really sexy ladies with the boots going around like that, just because all the little lines were going like that. And I was fascinated by that. And I was really influenced by both of their styles.
Yeah, Crumb is amazing, especially his later stuff, from the stuff that he's doing in France in the 90s. That's even more detailed than before, huh? Yeah. And Tony Millionaire, I also thought, had a slightly similar style to yours.
Sorry?
Tony Millionaire from Makis? You know him?
Tony Millionaire.
You don't know him? He has a slightly similar style, also with lots of these little lines. And
I think I know him because the name is familiar, but I can't remember right now what it is.
Sock Monkey was this famous book.
I never read that.
Okay. Yeah, that's
No, I'm
nice.
gonna check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, this is really cool as well. Great. I'm gonna cue in the audience now. I think because I think they probably have lots of questions for you too. Anybody a question for Boulet?
You on the back.
Anyway, I will speak in English. I'm French like you. I think I'm the only one French here. Just a question about the computer. You are not using at all the computer after your drawing? You don't rework any drawing with the computer? Vous ne travaillez pas vos dessins avec l'ordinateur?
Ah, ok, attends, tu peux répéter en français parce que là j'ai l'impression que tu parles dans un tonneau.
Okay, did you understand the question? Did you hear the question?
No.
He says if you don't, like when you're drawing, you draw everything by hand. You don't use the computer at all.
Oh, it depends. Sometimes I use a computer. Most of the time I use only take one random. Most of the time it's books like that, you know, sketchbooks, and I draw directly the pages in them. I'm trying to find one. You know, it looks like that, and so no, I don't use a computer. You know, at this point the comic is done, but there are a lot of comics where I put a computer in it. You know, sometimes I even drew complete pages directly on the computer. It depends on what I want to do. You know, most of the time at the beginning I was just adding, for example, this one was a comic I made, I don't remember the name, the dates, but it was around 2009, I guess. It was about the human race finding the magical word and sending the army to conquer it. You know, and it was drawn like that, but I wanted it to look a bit old, to look like, you know, Tolkien-like, and so I put some fake old paper texture and convert the black line so it would be like orangey and stuff like that. But that's basically the most I do with the computer.
Yeah, I saw that you sometimes put like, you sometimes change the color of the lines if you have like nostalgic stuff as well, you put in the the orange line and like the pink line when you have this episode with girls and so on. And like some of the comics you do like really on computer, like really pixelated stuff when you're doing like this.
Oh yeah, this is a computer, little square, too hard to draw by hand.
Yeah, you can't do that on the modern computer now anymore. Let us. Oh yeah, what about the animations? I saw you also did some really nice. We just watched animations for the seven deadly sins, which are really cool. Yeah. Do you do any more of the animation or not?
I would love to do animation, but it's really complicated because it actually takes a lot of time. It's awfully long to make an animation, you know. It's like you have to spend hours and hours for like 10 seconds, and I don't have that kind of time, you know. And usually I do animation once a year around June or July, because I come back from Annecy Animation Festival and I'm like, I'm going to do animation again! And after that, I come back to my senses and I stop. But I really like that. I would love to do more, but it's really, really long.
But it's a lot faster now, isn't it, like with the computer? It is faster now with the computer.
It's faster, but it's still awfully long.
Okay. Any more questions for Boulet? They're asking, what is Boulet like your pen name or your last name or?
It's my pen name. It's actually an insult in French.
It's an insult.
like a cute insult. It comes from my brother. He was calling me his Boulet. which means, you know, the chain and balls you put to prisoners. They won't run away. And I was his Boulet because he always had to carry me behind him. So I kept that just to make a joke, and the jokes got stuck, and I didn't actually want that to be my pen name. It's a sad story. I did that because it was a bet, a stupid bet. I said to my brother, yeah, I will use that name for my first comic. And my first comic was published in a magazine, the magazine of Tita. It was called Show. And I was really happy because I had gone to the end of the joke, and I told him, you see, I did that. And after that, I told to my publisher, oh, we have to change my name now for the album. My real name is Gilles Roussel. And he said, oh, man, it's too late if we do that. No one will buy your book. No one will know who you are. They read your name in the newspaper, you know, and in the magazine. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to keep that. It's embarrassing.
But it sounds nice.
Yeah, I usually, you know, sometimes I get checks written for Boulet and I have to explain my bank, and it's twice embarrassing.
Cool. Would anybody else like to ask something? Yes.
Do you have an academic background? Because I mean, did you always want to do comics, or are you more? I mean, obviously an excellent illustrator, but like, did you study illustration or anything?
Could you hear that?
So I heard you have an academic formation. Did you always want to be a comic artist? Or,
yeah, if you have any sort of like schooling in the arts.
Same here, it's an embarrassing story. No, I liked to draw, you know, I always wanted to draw. That's the only certain thing I had. I knew I wanted to draw because I like that. And it's the only thing I can do, you know. So I was in high school, I was in drawing class, and I didn't know what to do after high school. I had no ideas, and my friends were all going to the fine arts in Dijon. It's the city where I come from in France, in Burgundy. And so I asked them, what are you doing after high school? And they were like, we are going to the Beaux-Arts, fine arts. And I was like, okay, I will do that. Too, and I went to my mother and I told her, Mom, I'm going to go to Les Beaux-Arts de Dijon. And she was like, that's sweet, that's nice. And I totally forgot about that the next day. And she sent the application because she hadn't forgotten. And she told me, oh, you have to go for the evaluation, for the how do you say that, to enter in the school?
For the tests, if you can enter the school.
Yeah, for the
entry
exams.
exams.
I was like really surprised because I had totally forgot I wanted to do that. And actually I did, and I passed, and I ended up at the Fine Arts of Dijon. And it was really, really boring for me. It was awful because, it's a school specialized at the time in conceptual art, real proper art, putting violent stuff and getting naked and diving into that and taking photos and saying it's art, that kind of stuff. So I like it, I like art, but I wouldn't do that, it's like, for me, it's like dancing. I like to see people dance, but I would never do that. And so I was really miserable in that school. And I decided to use what I could out of the school. So I went to all the old classes. Everyone had forgotten existed. So I went into live drawing 20 hours a week. I was doing ceramics and engraving and stuff like that. It was really, really interesting. But it was, nothing nothing useful for the test at the end of the year. You know, I was going to them and saying, I went to ceramics. What? We have ceramics? Yes, we have ceramics, and I went there. And what did you do? This spot, it was supposed to be a hole, but it's huge, and because I wasn't good at it. And so it was really fun years. But after that, I had to go to a better school, and I changed after a few years, and I went to another school in Strasbourg, and it was an illustration school. So I think I had 3 years like that of real proper education in illustration. And same here, I didn't want specifically to do comics. I wanted to draw. And the thing was, I was really broke. You know, I was living in a really tiny room and eating noodles every day. I didn't have even enough to have a drink with friends. It was really pathetic. And to earn some money, I was participating to all the contests I could. So every time someone needed a poster, or every time there was a contest in a festival, I was applying just because I was hoping to get a few money out of it. And one day I won a third prize in a comic contest. And after that, a publisher called me and told me, please send me stuff because I am interested in your work. So like, well, okay, and I started working before I left school, so it was great. And that's how I began in comics. And so when I left school, it seemed only logical to continue to make comics. And the fun fact is that I was preparing an album, and they kept refusing it to me. And they accepted the day I graduated from school. So I left the school, I was officially employed, and when I got home, 10 minutes later, I had my first contract in the mailbox, and I thought destiny is telling me something there.
That was what, your first contract with, like for a comic book?
Yeah.
Okay, great. But this was like, it was a project to just draw comics, probably, not, it wasn't like a comic that you did all by yourself, it was just the drawing?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was a comic for kids, it was called, wait a minute, it's just here too. It's really cool to be at home to do that.
Yeah. I love it always, every time, like in these Skype conversations, it's great.
It was that. It was a book about a little dragon living in the forest with his mother. And it was a classical French comic, you know, the big hardcover, 46 pages like Asterix or Tintin. And it was always one-page stories. So it was fun to draw. I was publishing that in our magazine, and after that I was doing the album.
Cool. And was it successful? I mean, more or less.
Well, yes, kind of. At the time, it was really easier to make comics, so it was not a huge success, but it was good. It was working.
Great. Cool. Does anybody else from the audience have any questions for Boulet?
I'm pretending to scan the room.
We have another question. Yeah.
In the beginning, as we were watching, Izar showed us some of your comics. There is one about you having a zero gravity experience, and Izar told us that actually happened. So could you tell us a little more about this experience?
Did you hear it? Yeah.
I heard.
Okay. So you didn't hear it, huh?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Ooh. Now I can hear you because you did. Now we can hear you because you did that thing with the microphone, and I think it got sensitive to sound. So
And now?
It's still pretty bad.
I think I broke it.
No, I think it just like really got set to a low volume because you did that really loud thing in it.
Right, because it's also adjusting and I spoke too close, but
Yeah. Maybe you can maybe try to unplug it and plug it back in.
I just did.
Oh, there.
I broke it. Okay. Wait a minute.
It's getting better.
Yeah, I think it's adjusting automatically.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's getting better.
So,
The question was, about that experience that you write about in your blog, about when you went into zero gravity, that's 22-second form.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah. What was that? How did you get invited to this?
I don't know. Miracle. It was because I always talk about science on my website, and one of my friends, well, at the time I didn't know, but now she's a friend, was working at how do you pronounce the CNES, Center of National Studies for Space, you know.
Like the
like,
French NASA. Yeah.
Yeah, the French NASA, exactly. And she asked me to do she discovered my work online and wanted me to do a short comics about the launch of the Ariane rocket. So I went there and I did that, and she liked it, and people liked it on the website of the French NASA. And so after that, they had this opportunity to bring journalists in the zero-G flight. And so she said, instead of journalists, because one cares about what the journalist is going to say, let's invite someone to draw, so it will be nicer. And she invited me, and I did that. And it was absolutely the experience of a lifetime. It was really great.
Great.
But I can tell about it, but I already told almost everything in the comics,
the
so
comic,
it will be a lot of repetitions.
No, we just wanted to know how it came about, basically. They can read it in the comic, but it was like a really strange thing. Yeah.
Luck.
Fantastic. Anybody else before we... Oscar.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Slightly better? Better? Okay. Do you have any mega projects you're thinking of, but you're too afraid to actually do?
The question is if you have any like really huge mega projects that you're thinking about but are afraid to do.
Oh, it's yes and no, meaning I think they will come out eventually, For me, the big project that I was afraid of was the sci-fi project I'm writing for a friend. And I have a tricky project. It's not that I am scared, but it's really tricky. It's an improvisation again, and I wanted to do some kind of a manga, like a really thick book with a lot of stuff inside. But I wanted to try it without any preparation, just start drawing and see where it leads. And I draw, I think I'm around 90 pages now, and but I'm halfway through one volume then, because I want to do like 200 pages volumes. And the problem is not that I'm afraid, is that how can I invest in this project, Because if I give it to a publisher, I will get paid for it. But if I get paid for it, I will have to work all day on it, and I'm not sure I want that. And if I do that as a pet project, meaning on the side, I have to find the time to work on it, and I don't have the time because I have to pay my rent. And
then it will take you forever.
Yeah, and so the problem is not that I'm scared, is that it's like it's the project always falling in a crack, and I have to, get it back every time I have 1 week without anything to do, I pull the sketchbook again and I try to get back to it. But you know, it really depends on how much work I have to do. This year, I think I did 1 page. And so for that, I had done 89 pages. You know, so it's really complicated.
What is it about? The manga?
I don't know. It's an improvisation.
Okay, but like after 90 pages,
randomly to adventures. You know.
Okay. Does it have any recurring characters, or is it just like completely mind blowing?
Yeah, it's here. No. I post it. Do you hear me? Yeah, if I come here.
Huh? Yes.
I was asking me if you were hearing me from the shelf, but I don't think so. And I actually posted some of the pictures on my website and on Tumblr and stuff. It's like this character. It's like this small Chinese girl.
Yeah. I think I saw some pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, and the main story was you know, it was. I wanted to start like a tribute to the manga and then go to something else. So the beginning is like classical manga. She's living in a temple in a mountain and she's kicked out and she tries to find her parents. So that was the base, but the purpose of the story was to get out from that really fast and then get to proper adventures. So here you go. That's the first sketch. So the 91st page. She's not doing much. She's just walking in the mountain, meeting animals because I like animals.
It's beautiful, especially like that last one that you showed, like with the elephant in the temple. It looks fantastic.
Well, I hope I will finish it one day.
Great. Do we have? What else? We have one more question from the audience.
Hello. You use rotring for your drawings. What are your other tools that you like to use?
You use rotring for your drawings? Do you do everything with rotring, or do you use other stuff as well?
Oh no, I was using rotring before, but rotring is really a pain in the ass. You know, it's always get clogged, and you have to shake it, and you have to put it in the water and clean it, and it's awful because I am really a messy person. So I was always breaking my rotring in like 1 year. And then one of my friends, an American cartoonist called Sarah Glidden, I don't know if you know her, and she came to my place and she was drawing with a really elegant, how do you call that, writing pen, you know, in French we say feather, like the old feather.
But the one that you have to dip into ink, or
yes, a dipping pen like that.
Yeah.
But it's with cartridge, but the same principle. And she allows me to try the pen, and it was really great. So I bought one, and it became my favorite pen. And so I'm using that from. I would love to show it to you, but the problem is that I'm eating my pen, so I ate it. That's all broken, so I put tape around, and now it looks like, I don't know, the first word that comes to spirit is nightmare. And it's all wrapped in tape, so I will. It's called. This is the only part that I didn't chew. And, it's called Carbon Pen Ultimate, something like that. You know, really pretentious name. Carbon Pen Platinum.
Wow. Looks really nice.
It's a Japanese pen. You can find them on internet, and they are not that expensive. They are like 12 euros or something.
Oh, that's the one where you can't put the cap on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I fixed the problem by chewing.
Yeah.
Now
Fantastic. Yeah, I remember you have a blog entry about this pen. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Anything else before we go? Oh yeah, one more question.
Hello. When do you come up with
the right direction?
when do you come up with the idea for your reaction button?
For
react after every comic.
Oh, where did you get the idea that you have, you know, like if you want to comment on your comics, you have a button that's called react.
Yes.
And apparently it's unusual.
Oh, it's because I'm terrible in English, I don't know. It's just in French we had sometimes the reaction button, so I said, hey, if you want to react.
Aha, yeah, cool. Okay, so it's from French.
There was
Okay.
no message behind it, it's just a poor choice of words.
Where do you get ideas for your react? You know, you draw like a little comic reaction to the comic.
Oh, you mean the ones?
Yeah,
oh,
the ones
okay.
you draw.
Yeah. No, the actual question was where you mean the comic that you get?
After the
Yes,
After, like the additional comic that you get after you push react. Yeah.
Oh, that's I totally stole that idea to my friend Zach Weiner, actually. You know the one I was talking about earlier, the
Saturday
one
morning
drawing
breakfast cereal.
Saturday, yeah. He does that. I don't know where he stole the idea from, but I saw that and I said, hey, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do the same. And that's about it. And it was also because some people didn't know that they could comment the comic. So this was a way to say to them, hey, you can click on this key and you will see an extra panel, and then you can comment. And also, I don't know, it was I think it's a really fun idea that Zach had when he used that, because sometimes when you do a sad comic, you can, you know, lighten the mood again with the last panel without ruining the comic. And I'm doing improvisation, so most of the time when I start a comic, I have a few different endings in my head, and sometimes when an ending makes me laugh, but it's too stupid to put on the comic, I use it in the bonus section, and so I can use one more idea.
And it's also really nice, like it works on the internet, this sort of like extra Easter egg stuff, like
and when I published the books of notes, I didn't want to have just, you know, a collection of all that was already published online. So I asked my publisher to have 40 more pages. And every book represents a year, so it's about 150 pages. And I asked him 40 extra pages to make a bonus content. So every has a bonus content in it. And I wanted extra pages, yes, 40 pages, 40 extra pages in every book. And I wanted the webcomic to have its bonus too, you know. I didn't want people who had the book to have all the best stuff and people reading on the website to have less. So I wanted to have really one different thing for each support.
Okay, and also I think like some of the comics that you do on the website you probably can't even put in the books, the ones where you have like the really long panels. You can't transfer that, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought about it. I asked advice from my friend, and we tried. But how can I put that? If the page was that wide, where is it? If the page was that wide, the comic would be 41 meters long.
Wow.
So it was really difficult to put that in a book. I was considering, you know, like a giant roll, but even that was really difficult to print. So this one, for example, is a typical only blog entry.
Cool, great. We have one more question.
Okay.
You mentioned the artists you were inspired from, but what are the artists you're currently following or are looking forward to seeing their works, or have you read the books?
Nate says you mentioned artists that you were inspired by, but what are some artists that you are following now? What are artists that you're looking forward to seeing their work now?
That's a big one. It's really difficult to say because in my head, you know, comics is not one thing. It's a lot of different arts. You know, sometimes I started in the traditional comic industry in France, and so I meet my friends from 15 years ago, and I'm like, we are not doing the same job anymore. You know, they are talking about collectors, about rare printings and stuff, and you know, I don't care at all about that. But so when I think what are my favorite comics, it's a lot of different stuff in different categories. If we are talking about web comics, I think for now the American scene is really richer than the French one because they have been doing amazing web comics for years now. So I'm watching the work of Kate Beaton, I'm following all the classical ones, you know, Ex Cassidy, Oatmeal and stuff like that, but Becky Cloonan's work is amazing. I'm watching also Nathalie Nourigat and Zach Weiner, of course. I have a whole list of them, you know, I'm following them on Twitter and I spot them. Jimmy Benton, for example, you know, and then in France, I like to have a surprise. I'm going to festivals and suddenly I will meet someone and he will show me his work and it will be amazing and I will buy his book. So, you know, it's really random. I don't have major influences like when I was a kid. Now it's more like, oh, I like that and I like that, and you know, I follow different people. Well, one of the most exciting projects I saw recently in France was, I think it's going to be translated, so maybe you can find this one. We have a group of French comic artists who decided to make a manga studio. They decided to group themselves and act as a manga studio, you know, working 4 people on the same comics, and it's called Last Man. And the lead cartoonist is Bastien Vives. Bastien Vives was really famous in France for doing a comic about dance, which was called Paulina.
Paulina. Yeah, we have him on Skype like 2 months from now.
Oh, okay. So, you know, the guy with the big glasses and the ridiculous hair? Okay, that's him. And, well, I really love his job. Not his hair, but his job.
Okay, great. And they're doing this manga, like Bastien and a couple of others.
And they made 6 books for now, and it's really cool.
Oh,
it's
great.
Really, yeah.
It's called Last Man.
Last Man.
It's called
Last man.
Last Man.
Last.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
It's a
Okay. Great. We'll check it out.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Well, we'll leave you in peace now. We've been like torturing you for an hour, but it was really nice. It was great talking to you.
No, it was fun. The time flew.
Great. I'll just turn the video around again so you can.
So I don't have to pretend to see people like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
So really thank you for this, and hope to talk to you again, and maybe we get a chance to invite you here sometimes for a festival or something.
Oh, I would love
Great.
to.
Yeah, it's a nice place to visit. Great, thank you very much. This was great, and keep up the fantastic work.
Always do.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Noč, to je bilo to za ta Stripolis. Se vidimo naslednjič 7. aprila, ko bo spet, zdaj imamo 3krat zapored na Skypeu goste. 7. aprila bo na Skypeu tale Peters, ko je delal ta Peščeni grad, ko so ga zdaj Vigevage knjige izdale, pa ko ima drugače par zanimivih knjig, med drugim Modre pilule, ki je nek ful dober strip. Potem imamo pa še tega Bastina Vipsa, ko ga animeral, imamo pa potem... Ja? Aha, točno, seveda. In jutr je pa v naši striparni na Mestnem trgu 2 v prostorih Pritličja odlična razstava kolektiva Papirna tesanje. Se pravi, 10-12 ljudi lahko bo razstavljala, ne? 12 ljudi bo razstavljala in bo pač ena super razstava, jutr ob 8 je otvoritev in ste vsi polvadani. V striparno pa tudi. Hvala, se vidimo.